Welcome back to Spank Ranch Garage. Did not expect or want to make another video on this car, but let me explain the situation that's going on here. So you guys have seen this car in other episodes. It is a turbo M52. It's running on the factory ECU, and I've been tuning this car for years. And you know, I've been out of the tuning game for a long time. I don't know what is relevant now and what was, you know, the way back then, but what we used to do is always run a Nissan MAF with a resistor in line to drop the voltage down. And you could support like 500 horsepower on these MAFs. And the gem of these is you can grab them at AutoZone, you go to the junkyard, you can fill your pockets with them. They're plentiful. Well, anyway, we had an oil pump problem last time, but I still tuned through it. He put another pump in it, fixed all that up. Oil pressure's awesome. Car runs good, but as soon as he took it to the track, after a couple laps, it started running very rich. He threw another MAF in it. I don't remember the entire story. It was raining. He does have a shield in here now to keep some of the water out of this air filter, but either way, you're on a MAF-based system. Your only load sense for this ECM is mass airflow. And I don't like mass airflow for drifting because it's not robust, right? Drift cars eat dirt professionally. Dirt, oil, tire dust right through the turbos, through the intercooler, and into the engine. And these sensors don't appreciate that. So I wasn't going to film this, but I think we're on to something a little more here. So I started tuning the car on this MAF, and it runs as expected, very rich up top, lean down low. So I put another MAF in that I cleaned before I put it in, and you guys probably won't be able to see it. Maybe you can. But you see these marks on here, those are droplets of oil. And this is after just two pulls, a fourth gear pull and a fifth gear pull. We're already collecting oil on the MAF. That's a problem. We're contaminating mass airflow sensors, and we don't exactly know why. So I'm gonna plug a third MAF in, do a pull, right? This thing is clean. You can all agree there's no oil on the face of this mass airflow sensor. Let's do a pull or two and see what we get. No, I don't think you really want to come out here. You hate the dyno. Too loud for you. Wait, what's this? What's this? Oh, that's a grasshopper. So the first two MAFs read identical. You can almost lay the data logs over top of each other. You wouldn't know which was which. You guys see that? That is speckles of oil on the surface that we wiped clean before installing this MAF. So that's our problem. We are contaminating these MAFs quicker than we can turn laps. This is a bunch of horse poop. I mean, that looks pretty damn good. Ooh. Yeah, she's got a lot of play for a ball bearing, though. I think this is a ball bearing. It's liquid cooled, or could be liquid cooled. Wow, I can't touch that yet. But we're gonna have to pull a lower charge pipe and see what's going on here. I think this turbo is wetting the system down. You guys see all that garbage in there? Right, any little piece of that gets on the MAF is a huge problem. This really doesn't look soaked in oil though. So maybe it's residual in the system. I mean, that looks drier than it is in real life. You know, you can wipe that crap off with your finger, but almost 20 thou axial? I don't think that's good. I thought they were supposed to have almost none. So that is what it is. Texted the owner, sent him a video, told him what I saw with the turbo. His thoughts are tune it anyway, get it done. I'm fine with that. I'm gonna go get a can of MAF cleaner and cycle through 3 MAFs throughout the tuning process, average it all out, send it down the road. That's all you can do, really. We're just gonna do our best to get pulls on clean mass airflow sensors, and then when he puts a new turbo on it, hopefully the tune will be close and he can go enjoy the car. Yeah, this is the thing I get into with tuning. This is why I don't do it anymore, because it's always the tune, but it's always almost never the tune. The tunes don't really change. You know, at this point, I don't take any new tuning jobs, but I will continue to support any customers I've had in the past. This has been a car that I've worked on for many years. I know this car almost as well as I know my car. So it's no problem doing this, and it's no shame on anybody for this situation. This kind of crap happens. Drifting is a really tough sport on cars. So I get it. I totally get it. All right, I think we found the solution to all of our problems. 4 to 10 horsepower in this can right here. Anyway, I'm gonna clean all 3 of these MAFs. Just made a tune revision. We'll get this thing running great on what's left of it, and then we'll turn it back over for another beatdown. Cars are already annoying to tune because the AFR is not an input on the ECM, so I'm literally watching a live data log and comparing it to a wideband and making that connection in my head to see where it needs fuel and wants fuel and whatever. Not bad. There are oil particulates on it, but I would say not bad. So let's clean this MAF, put it right back in, do another pull. I'm actually feeling a little better now, because that was like a lot of pulls. That was like 20 pulls, and the oil was less than some of my initial pulls earlier in the day. So maybe when the turbo gets smoking hot, she doesn't blast as much oil, or there is residual in the system we're not aware of that's coming through, but there's a little bit of hope here at least. Even less oil on the MAF this time. I think our theory that the system is either purging itself of extra oil or the turbo leak slows down when it gets beat on and gets hot is accurate. It's certainly not getting worse, which is very encouraging. All right, spare MAF time. Let's see what she does. All right, that was fantastic. AFRs are spot on. Airflow is spot on to where it was with the previous MAF. So now we know we have 2 MAFs that read exactly the same. That's a large step when you're playing games with all this crap that's going on. 3rd MAF going in. Basically all I'm doing is building a case that all 3 of these MAFs function and work correctly. And whatever happens at the track, we'll at least know that these are all equal. So it's easier to swap a MAF, I guess, than pull a MAF, clean a MAF, all that between runs. Wow, this has no oil on it. Maybe this thing's fixing itself. Who knows? airflow sensor is good. So we now have 3 MAFs that perform properly. They're all labeled and numbered and tracked, so we can throw away all the other MAFs that might be bad and take that variable out of our equations here. Now let's plumb up a boost controller to run a couple more PSI on this thing. Compressor side to the bottom of the boost controller. We're gonna have to play with it. Wow. You guys hear that small block clapping in the background? That is one of the most offensive sounds ever. Out 2 turns. I have no idea how many turns to PSIs and all that crap. I'd really like to see 13 or 14. I just want to make sure that on a 10 PSI tune, if we are over boosting on the track, that we're not reaching a part of the computer that isn't calibrated. Conservative timing, and it's got forged pistons, so we'll just send it there and see how it does. AFRs are in the 10s. I'm going to go grab the computer, lean it out a little bit up there, see what MAF voltage looks like, make sure we have headspace for it, see what the actual milligrams per stroke is, and then we'll be ready to wrap this one up. Alright, just pulling the boost controller back out of the circuit so we know that higher boost numbers will not create an excess rich or excess lean condition for this guy. So it's one more T to cross and I to dot about what the heck's really going on here. But I think oily MAF is the root cause of these dilemmas. Alright guys, so what did we learn on today's journey? Cleanliness of the mass airflow sensor is everything on these MS41 cars. The ECU has no other way to calculate load without mass flow. We still use a factory air intake temp sensor, factory throttle position sensor, factory coolant sensor. That's about it. This thing's got no narrowband O2 on it, no wideband O2 on it, and we're relying solely on that Nissan MAF to do everything we need. So it's a super critical sensor. And the problem is, if this sensor doesn't see enough load, you now have an engine that's making more cylinder pressure, more heat, more power, and we are not giving it the fuel it needs, and even worse, we're giving it too much timing. So it would be ideal if these MAFs would fail in the other direction, where they overfuel and undertime the engine. That'd be a lot safer. Honestly, for the amount of end play that this turbo has, it is leaking extremely minimal oil. I'm actually really impressed. It seemed as we got through the day, the MAF got less and less oil on it. My recommendation for this one is get a new turbo on this thing and go drive it and see what happens. See if the tune's good. It should be fine, because I think this turbo still performs fine, though it does weep a little oil. But in the interim, this guy's going to drive this probably the rest of the year. I'm going to give him a can of MAF cleaner and 3 good MAFs, and just, you know, as soon as anything's acting up, 2 screws, pull that MAF out, drop a clean one in, get back on track. It is what it is. It's not an ideal situation. There is a lot of challenges going against you working on stuff like this, and that's really why I don't do it anymore for the public. Any cars that I've tuned in the past, I'll still support them for as long as I can. Like this car, I'm always happy to have this one here and see what's going on and get it running again. But there's a lot to tuning that I think a lot of people don't realize when they just see, you know, it's just, oh, it's all just pushing buttons on the keyboard. Really, pushing buttons on the keyboard is the easiest part of tuning. It's the merging different systems. I got a standalone AFR gauge. I got terrible data logging. And then I have hardware issues on top of it. You know, hardware and sensor issues. Everything's compiling into a huge pile of turd. So you're trying to sort through the turds and make something work here. And I think today I actually did a decent job. I'm happy with the outcome of this one. We'll see how it runs when it gets to the track. There's only so many conditions you can replicate on the dyno. I don't get to make as much load as I'd like to. I don't get to make the temperatures I'd like to make here. Even not running the electric fan and not running the auxiliary dyno fan, still with this mechanical fan on here, I still wasn't able to get this thing as hot as I'd like to. And I know it adds a little fuel and pulls a little timing when it gets hot. So if this thing's running a little rich on the track, that would be why, potentially, or the MAF is fouling up again. Who knows? Really, I need to get to the track with the computer, take a couple ride-alongs to get this thing dialed in. That's probably the correct answer here. But I didn't expect to make a video on this one, but I thought this would be interesting, how just a little bit of oil on a mass airflow sensor can really destroy a tune and destroy the drivability and reliability of a car. And I don't recommend it. Back when this car was built, a big selling point of it was, hey, we can tune the stock computers now. We could put a resistor in, put an aftermarket or a MAF from a different car in. We can monitor load that the standard ECU wouldn't be able to monitor. We can turn off most of the other safeties, and we can actually make a running and driving car that's turbocharged that never came turbocharged from the factory. And it does work very well. I do the same thing in my station wagon, my E39. I daily drive that. It's fine. But for a track car that sees this kind of abuse, I really think a manifold pressure-based system would be best. A standalone of any type would almost be better than this. These are single Vanos motors, so just an on-off relay for the Vanos. They're still drive-by cable. The IAC is very easy to control. So really I wouldn't say there's a lot of reason to stay on stock computer anymore for a M52 like this. With the M54s, where you have two continuously variable Vanos and drive-by wire and all that stuff, there's a little more incentive to stay factory ECU because it does work well at controlling those systems. And it's a fair bit of work to set that up with a standalone, but it's getting easier every year. You know, 10 years ago, factory ECU was everything. Now I think we're getting to the point where that's a little dated. And especially when you have a couple hardware issues influencing some sensor issues, it makes things really tricky. But anyway, that's enough blabbing on this one. Thank you for watching Spank Ranch Garage. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. I'll see you next time.